Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording Wednesday, May 28th. Celtics off-season draft coming up. Same old as we've been talking about. But plenty of trades, plenty of rumors, everything coming out as we get going into the depths of the off-season. How you doing, Sam?
Doing good is the depths of the off season. I last night spent like an hour seeing how many U.S. cities I could name, so that tells you how exciting the NBA life is at the moment. Oh, you're intrigued. Look at you, nodding your
I'm
head.
confused, not intrigued. I'm confused.
Okay, whatever.
Why? Why did you do that?
It's what you do when you have free time. I guess.
Sure.
We have a fun show today. Shams talking about just saying anything up on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. A new team has emerged as a Drew Holiday suitor in trades. A little bit of updates on a couple Celtics players via Noah Dalzell, and then we'll go through your emails. It's going to be a really good email section. Shout out to you guys. You guys have been awesome in the emails, sending them in. hbtcpod@gmail is the address if you have things you would like to get off your chest. Then we'll go around the league, talk about the conference finals, and do the rat list and get out of here. Stick around. We're here every day. New content going up on the channel at 5 a.m. Full pods Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. In season, the game recaps are every morning after each game. And then we have other videos on the channel in between. Draft, scouting reports, trade ideas, all sorts of stuff this time of year to try and, keep everyone up to speed.
Yeah, let's start with Shams. Shams had another non-report on the Celtics, basically saying the team's going to look a lot different. He was on Pat McAfee again, said the Boston Celtics are going to make trades. They're definitely going to have a different roster next season. The question is just how severe the movement is going to be for them. Said teams are going to express a lot of interest in Drew Holiday. Teams will inquire about Porzingis and Jaylen Brown. Celtics are going to have to identify what value they can get for these players. A lot of questions around Al Horford's future, Drew's, Porzingis. Is basically said if it's not Tatum, then anything's up for grabs in terms of assessing values. I still don't think that means we're going to see, Jaylen and Derek White and everything traded. I think the point Shams is more making is they're not trading Tatum, and everything else would be, we'll assess the value and go from there, which could vary for other players, right? Could vary for different players. For Porzingis, it's if we can get off his contract without giving up too much attached to it, we will do that for cap space. If it's Drew, it's if we can get a pick or if we can get a decent return, maybe we do it. And if it's Jaylen, it is if we get, Giannis or we get, Luka Doncic or if we get Jokic, then maybe we consider it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's levels to assessing value, quote unquote. But the point is, Shams just said what everyone already knew, which is the roster is going to look a lot different.
That's been his signature move since March. Just saying the
That's
thing
hard
because
I assume he's asked about it, right? And what is he going to say other than
he was asked
trades,
about
dude?
On
yeah,
the
exactly.
Show. Yeah, but he did have like the ESPN NBA Today segment like last month when he was talking about it. Just like, yeah, stuff might happen in Boston. Thanks, good report. But it still feels like Holiday and Porzingis are going to be the most likely. The salaries just make your goal of shedding roughly $20 million so much easier if those are the guys that you offload, while also not hindering what you want to do down the line in the future. I think it just sets you up the best way. We can tie this into, just to put it all together with Drew, Brian Robb of Mass Live put out a report today that the Clippers are a team that may show interest in Drew this summer. He wrote, Holiday is expected to be pursued by several teams on the trade market, and a league source tells Mass Live that the Los Angeles Clippers are one team expected to show interest in the 34-year-old. And he added that they were one of the teams the Celtics had to outbid when they traded for Drew 2 years ago.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, the Clippers would make a lot of sense for Drew Holiday, pairing him with James Harden in the backcourt after Harden just had, his best season in 5 years. Like, it makes a lot of sense, pairing that defense, that extra playmaking, extra shooting, extra, basketball IQ next to James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and Zubac and Powell. Like, that would be a really good lineup, if you think about it. Like, James Harden, Norm Powell, Drew Holiday, Kawhi Leonard, Zubac. Like, that's probably they almost got past the Nuggets this year. Then who knows what happens? People had them in there as their finals picks. Like, they're a good team. They were a really good basketball team this year. Adding Drew Holiday would make a ton of sense, although it would, bring up the questions of what would they have to give up to get him. And that's where things could get, I guess, a little dicey. Maybe you trade out the scoring of Powell for the defensive Holiday and you figure it out from there. But it makes sense why they would be interested, especially considering they had interest a couple years ago. Let's do our emails now, just because I feel like that's going to be the bulk of the topics and it'll tie into this. Usually we do the emails after the Celtics section. And I mean, this will be the bulk of the Celtics section anyways, but a lot of you guys send us trades, and we're probably going to end up titling it something along the lines of these trades anyways, and you guys want to know about this anyways, so we might as well put those things towards the forefront of the pod. So let's check out your emails. You guys can email us trade ideas, thoughts, anything you want, literally anything. hbtcpod@gmail.com. That's hbtcpod@gmail.com. Make sure to get them in there and we'll read them every single full podcast. So we got 7 today, which is why I say we should put them towards the top of the show again, because it's just going to be the bulk of the show anyways. First from Jack, which shout out Jack, great name. The whole ideology is that we let Porzingis walk or trade him for barely anything. So you're under the second apron. Maybe enough to sign Cornette. Yeah, I think in theory that is a big part of it. And so, okay. So then, okay, sorry. He's clarifying. He sent us a Drew trade and then said, my whole ideology is that on top of this, we just let Porzingis walk or trade him for barely anything and then maybe leave enough room for Cornette. So the context is, I think what he's saying is this trade doesn't clear up a ton of salary, but you would also trade Porzingis. So the trade he suggested on top of this is Drew Holiday, a first, a second, and another second for Jaren Jackson, Jalen Wells. I don't think the Grizzlies will do this. I don't think this makes a ton of sense for them.
No, I don't think the draft capital here is enough to move the needle for them. I think Memphis is a team that they're in a weird spot. Like, obviously last year didn't really go the way they had wanted it to go. They made some trades at the deadline. They got bounced in the first round at the hands of OKC after having a battle through the play-in. And for them, Jalen Wells is somebody they like. Jaren Jackson is still relatively young, and he's been up towards the top of Defensive Player of the Year conversations in the past. They certainly like what they have with him. Not to say he's perfect. He commits dumb fouls sometimes. He is someone who probably doesn't grab as many rebounds as he should with his size. But I don't think that they're looking to get Holiday enough to trade two guys that they probably like having around. But it'd sure be fun for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a great trade for the Celtics. I mean, people probably don't want to hear this. Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably the best player in the Grizzlies. Ja doesn't play enough, nor is he, consistent enough. And Jaren Jackson Jr. has been an elite defensive player. I think he led them in scoring this past year. It was their only all-star. Like, Jaren Jackson Jr. is extremely underrated. And he's on an expiring, so the Celtics would also have to pay him probably a max contract, which would then get them into more trouble next year, even if the Grizzlies did want to do this. I just think this would make the Grizzlies a worse team without the necessary draft compensation. Like, maybe if they tear it down, they do this, but with Porzingis instead, so it's expiring, and then the Celtics give them like 3 first-round picks. But then at that point, like, I don't know. So I don't know how much sense this makes, but thank you, Jack, for the email. Good name. Next, we got Dear Tick, Matthew Spangler, who says, Dear Tick, hey guys, non-Celtics question for you. Does Sam like the Providence band Dear Tick? Seen them a bunch, just bought tickets to see them in my home city this September. Didn't know if he was going to their upcoming 4-night stand in Rhode Island. Left a YouTube link for you to check them out. Sam, are you familiar with Dear Tick?
I've never heard of Dear Tick, and Jack knows I'm not doing live music unless it's in a venue, like a big concert venue. If it's in a smaller place, it ain't happening. Let's see.
How easy it is. Oh, you don't know.
I don't want Dear Tick to copyright strike us, but I thank you. Thank you, Matthew. Shout out to Dear Tick, Rhode Island.
And enjoy the show.
Yeah. Go have fun. Next, Rob Vera, second apron misconceptions. Hi, folks. No mock trade today. I just wanted to clear up a couple common misconceptions about the second apron rules for everyone. Thanks, Rob. One, you can aggregate salaries as a second apron team as long as you end up below the second apron after the deal. This is per Keith Smith. Okay. That's very helpful. What matters is what you are post-trade. If Celtics do this, though, it hard caps them. I see. Just under the second apron as they just aggregated salaries in the trade. For example, Boston gets Cade Cunningham, subtracts 24.4 from the cap, and thus lowers the Celtics to about 4.5 below second apron. Detroit gets Drew in KP. Obviously, this is not, he says, P.S. I'm not proposing. It would be stupid on Detroit's end. I'm just using the salaries as an example as I've attached a screening of the trade. Works on both Spot Track and Fanspo. Pro tip for those who enjoy mock trades: renounce the cap holds of any team involved in the trade before executing the trade. This sets the team at their proper cap space and aprons. I see. Spot Track and Fanspo keep the cap holds by default for free agents. Thank you. 2, you can aggregate players, not salaries, as a second apron team as long as the secondary players can be absorbed into another team's cap space or TPE. For example, Boston gets John Collins, Utah gets KP and Tillman. Sam had the right guess last time. As long as it can be separated into individual trades, it works, and those players can be aggregated into a single trade for simplicity of transaction. Collins' salary here is lower than KP, so that works while Tillman is absorbed in the Jazz $3.5 million PJ Tucker TPE. I've also attached a screening and it works in both Spot Track and Fanspo. So here I'm aggregating players, not salaries. Tillman's salary has zero relevance in the deal. I'm just opening up a roster spot. And yes, order of operations can also matter. If enough player salary is absorbed into cap space / TPE that gets the Celtics under the second apron, salaries can be aggregated in the trade. Hopefully people out there find this useful. Very useful. Thank you, Rob.
Yes.
This was awesome.
Man, that's probably getting saved in the inbox.
Yeah.
Just getting archived.
Yeah, so that's good. So you can aggregate salaries as long as they are under the second apron after the deal, but that does hard cap you. So if you want to re-sign Luke Cornett, you cannot go over that number again. So that's also important to note. Okay, very good. And then this one is good too, because if they can take it into a TPE or something, then you could do it in a separate trade. Okay, thank you. This is a great
Thank you
email.
very much.
Phenomenal. Shout out, Rob, my goat. Celtics trade, Celtics Nation, Julian says, hey guys, Celtic Nation here again. The first trade I sent works because not only, yes. Thank you to Rob's email. We now understand. The first trade I sent works because it doesn't work if you aggregate the contracts and match the salary that you're taking in. The Celtics also giving up Hauser in the trade isn't the reason why it's legal. It's just more of a save, more money. You can test this by doing the previous 3-team trade I sent without Hauser in it, and it still works. Okay. Here's a trade that I have for guard Drew Holiday. Celtics receive Derek Jones. Clippers get Drew Holiday. Nets receive Bogdan Bogdanovic and a 26th second from the Celtics. The Celtics also give the Clippers a first-round pick. Okay. Celtics, or their first-round picks are 28. Celtics get a wing who can start in JT's spot and also puts them under the second apron. This will also allow them to aggregate contracts to match salaries and trades after this, which we now know how they can do in other trades in certain specific ways. I know the Giannis trade I sent last time is very unlikely to happen. I think KD is a more realistic superstar target, and I don't know why you think, as I think you would have to give up Jaylen Brown to get him. I don't think you would have to, sorry. So after this 3-team trade, you could swing a KD package for Derek White, Kristaps, and unprotected 2027 first-round pick. I don't know about that. I would only do this trade if it's a 2-year extend and trade like Jimmy to Golden State, something like 2 years, $100 million, which would actually be less than his current salary. This trade doesn't work unless the Celtics and Suns both get under the second apron, which is another reason I had those previous 3-team trades to get under the second apron before the Celtics. Suns could actually get under the second apron very easily by declining Vasily Micic's $8.1 million team option, who they traded for at the deadline, and by waiving Cody Martin's fully non-guaranteed 1-year, $8.6 million contract. As a sleeper target, I want the Celtics to target regardless is center Mark Williams. I would absolutely love if they could trade Sam Hauser in this year's first for Mark Williams. I don't think that's a bad deal for the Hornets if they tried landing Mark for Connect with no picks. He reminds me of a taller and more, I think they did get a pick in the deal, by the way. He reminds me of a taller and more offensively aggressive version of Robert Williams, and is 23 years old. The injuries scare me a bit, but I think there's worth the risk in the price. If the Celtics were to do those 3 trades above and re-sign Horford to a 1-year vet min, that would leave them $8 million below the second apron, and the rotation would be Pritchard, Jalen, KD, Al Horford, Mark Williams, Derek Jones Jr., Baylor Scheierman, and then Katie Tillman Walsh. Would also love if the Celtics could target a guy like CP3 or Russ at a vet min, but not sure how realistic it is. First of all, I now get to throw Jaren Jackson Jr. on KD on the thumbnail, so thank you for this. Second off, I don't think KD is a very realistic thing for this. We can go bit by bit. Start with KD, Sam, and just go ahead.
KD does not feel like a realistic option for the Celtics yet. He felt like more of a realistic option when the reports were coming out towards the end of the season that it was a possibility he would take a substantial pay cut to go play for a contending team. The problem is Tatum has torn his Achilles, and we really don't know what to expect of the Celtics next year. It would not make a lot of sense for the Celtics to rid themselves of Drew only to inevitably bring in Kevin Durant and then extend him for $50
and lose
million
Derek
a
White in
season.
the process.
And lose Derek, who is important. Like it doesn't feel like you can justify losing both of those guys this summer. I suppose like the team that's on the sheet in front of us, you'd feel okay about it going into next year. But they wouldn't be like
Pritchard, Jalen, KD, Horford, Mark Williams.
Yep. And then Derek Jones Jr., Scheierman, and then take your pick of the end of bench guys. They'd be a team that probably doesn't have like strong contending aspirations, but we would all go in the playoffs talking ourselves into it. We'd be like, maybe, watch out, KD, he's on the team. I think this would put a lot of pressure on Horford as well to be playing, a substantial amount of minutes every night and to be playing. Well, they probably still wouldn't play him on back-to-backs, but he's a big if here too. But I'm sure it would encourage him to come back.
My thing is, this is basically this year's team without Drew and Derek and with a worse version of Jason Tatum. Like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't really it doesn't do much for me. And with no depth. There's no depth on this team. You don't have a scorer off the bench of the sixth man, unless you're banking on Baylor taking a big leap, which he could. But then you're basically confined to running a 7-man rotation plus 3 guys who aren't very good right now. Like Kata, Tillman, and Walsh haven't really shown much to where that you could say, okay, yeah, they can give us 20 minutes a night. I don't really see it. I don't think you can lose Derek right now. I think that's too big of a piece to give up, especially for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant. That just doesn't make a ton of sense. KD's going to make $20 more million than Derek White and be 7 years older. That doesn't really make a ton of sense. Obviously, he's a better player. It's Kevin Durant, but for this team, I just think keeping that window open for competing with JT is more important. So I don't hate the Durant idea purely from I like Kevin Durant, but I don't think it makes too much sense for the Celtics team right now. Also, as far as this Drew trade goes, I don't know if the Celtics are going to have to give up first to do this. I think Derek Jones Jr., Bogdan, basically they're paying Derek Jones Jr. and Bogdanovich for Drew Holiday. I feel like the Clippers could give up the seconds or something in that trade. I feel like people are focusing too much on how Drew's contract isn't great, which it's not great. He's still a phenomenal player. I know he's a little older and I know the contract is amazing. Yeah, but he is a good basketball player. So I don't think the Celtics would be the ones having to give up picks here. But maybe that's just me coping or whatever. But thank you. Thank you, Julian. We appreciate you.
With the Clippers, I'm not. So I want to talk about this just a little bit more because the report from B-Rob came out. So you actually timed this email up perfectly.
Before we do, just so we don't get too far, I was going to do Game Time.
It.
Thank you. Game Time is the best place for all your ticketing needs. Make sure to check out Game Time if you're looking to buy tickets this baseball season, basketball season, or any other season of any sporting event you can want. But it's more than that because you can also get tickets for concerts, comedy shows, and so much more, theater, everything you want on Game Time. Let me pull up Game Time so you can see exactly what we are talking about. Let's take a look at the Shakira concert at Fenway Park coming up today as you're listening to this. So go get last minute tickets because with Game Time, you can buy last minutes and save up to 60% on your ticketing purchase. So if you're looking to go to Shakira tonight as you're listening to this, save up to 60% buying last minutes for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and Shakira is certainly a concert. Best part is you can see the exact view for most venues on the stage. This one's a little weird because I think the stage setup is weird, so they don't have the exact views from the seat because Shakira is setting up her stage a little bit differently. However, you can see the way the stage is set up and where you'll be looking at. You can see the fire emblem is the cheapest ticket in the stadium. You can toggle on and off the features that'll let you see the fees before you get to checkout. And like I said, for most things, for most venues, for most events, you can see the exact view from the seat that you're potentially going to sit in, which is my favorite feature because you know exactly what you're going to see once you buy those tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right. Clippers, Drew Holiday, go ahead.
Speaking of getting the best deal, Clippers, Drew Holiday. The Clippers, I think, are one of the teams, just to your point, they won't be overly concerned with this Drew contract. Or maybe they will be because of what I'm about to say, but I would lean no. They're paying James Harden and Kawhi a substantial amount of money. These are two guys who are more on the timeline of Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is a guy that can still help them compete, and Steve Ballmer is one of the most willing owners to compete. It feels like he's not afraid of the luxury tax. He's not afraid of spending. And he would be willing to do a deal like this if he knows he can get somebody like Holiday. The Clippers really missed a two-way guard presence in the playoffs. Chris Dunn was out there trying his best. He's not a consistent enough three-point shooter for them to have gotten away with playing him the minutes that they played him. He was being treated like Ben Simmons at times. There were moments in those first-round games where he did not want to shoot the three. He was literally being left open and still wouldn't take the shot. If they have Holiday, they probably beat the Nuggets. And it's not an exact 1-for-1 Chris Dunn for Drew Holiday swap, but having Holiday play that role for them would be a big get. Bogdanovich is an interesting piece in this trade because he's somebody who's tortured the Celtics forever. He's always been a Celtic killer, and it'd be interesting to see him on the Celtics. Now, I know in the mock that's in the email, he is not the player that is coming here. It's Derek Jones Jr., who's also interesting as a lengthy bench wing that you can talk yourself into being able to defend and shoot threes sometimes. He's not a bad role player. There's certainly worse guys to have. But Bogdanovich would be a fun bench scorer to add. I'm curious if the Nets get involved as a third team in these trades because they have become your best friend. They've become my best friend anytime I'm looking to create Celtics trades because they have all of the cap space. I've seen trades online. Bobby Manning was putting out some scenarios today, and I was thinking about it. And if the Celtics can get Chris Dunn back, it wouldn't be bad to have him as a rotational piece to be a defensive hound. So if you're trading Bogdanovich and Dunn, I think they need to trade like a Eubanks-esque salary too to get that deal done to make up like if Derek Jones is not in the trade to get to that same 10-ish million mark. It's just a question if they want to.
Yeah, it's just they make a lot of money. Like if you're the Celtics, like you're saying the Celtics should take back Bogdanovich or like send one to the Nets.
Bogdanovich would come here and Chris Dunn would come here and Eubanks would go to the Nets and then that would be an $11 million in savings for Boston.
I guess, yeah. To me, Bogdanovich is not worth the $16 million.
Okay.
He's fine.
He's on an expiring too for what it's worth.
He is.
And maybe you flip him.
I guess. I don't know. He's so streaky. Like he shot really well for the Clippers I guess he only spent in 30 games he shot 42% for the Clippers, but in the 24 games he played for Atlanta he shot 30%. So I'm like it's just I have no doubt he is a good shooter because he has historically been a very good shooter, but I don't know. And then in the playoffs in 7 games he shot 29%. I don't know. I don't know if that's worth $16 million. I might just take the savings or Derek Jones, but regardless, Clippers interest is valid. Could be a very interesting set of circumstances. Maybe I'll throw one of them on the thumbnail so I feel less bad about it. Thank you for the email, Celtics Nation. Next one. RJ, I'm fine. How about you? RJ says, just about lunchtime here in San Francisco. Thought I'd drop a note about stuff that isn't NBA basketball. A little life of RJ update. Hell yes. My sweetie's mom suffered a leg fracture 10 days ago and got checked into a care facility that frankly didn't. They kept trying to feed her meals containing her documented allergies. Oh, yikes. She's staying with us now as her leg heals up. Good. The kids are almost done with 7th grade and both will be switching schools next year for different reasons. The joys of adolescence. K is amazing online lore building, while F continues to enjoy her horses, both riding and photographing them. On the pet front, we now have 2 ball pythons. What the fuck? Named Yogurt and Hash Browns.
I gotta speak up.
To go along with our bearded lizard Waffles. We are quite the herpetological family. Snakes is crazy.
You aren't getting me within a mile of that house. Absolutely not.
2 ball pythons.
Credit to you, RJ,
wild.
for having the stones, but you will not. I will not be seeing your snakes.
My day job, yes, I do something other than write HBTC and yammer at the halftime on First and Floor playback games. Is fascinating as the compliance officer for a realtor association. Yes, I have to type it out that way. Yeah, he's got the restricted R. I get to explain to our members what our rules are and why they are out of bounds on occasion. I think of it as somewhere between being Scott Foster and Keith Smith for bed and bath counts instead of green light specials or the CBA. Speaking of the CBA, my field might be hitting a sea change as potentially tumultuous as when the CBA took effect. So fun and frolic there, he said as his best Coach Missoula deadpan. The Cubs continue to not suck, which is making the summer fun for me, and I'm going to start watching WNBA games because they sound like fun. They are fun. That's all for me. What is something non-basketball related y'all are doing? There's got to be something, right? Be well, RJ. Ooh, non-basketball related. What do you got?
I mean, I've been watching a lot of movies because, when I don't really care as much about these Western Conference games at the moment, so I'll put the game on and also watch a movie. It's not like the hate watch of watching Knicks-Pacers. So I've been watching like different horror movies, the Final Destinations, because the movie's in the theaters, so I'll go see that. To hang out with the girlfriend, that'll take up all your time. And obviously I am an exercise addict, so I'm doing that every day.
I've been playing a lot of basketball. Like that's kind of it. I just play. I go to the park. I play in my Volo league. I go to the little runs. I go play pickup. Hang out with my girlfriend. That's about it. That's really all I do. Play softball on Mondays. That's fun. I enjoy that. I've been trying to watch the Red Sox more, pay attention a little bit more. They're kind of mid.
They're bad.
That's about it. They're not great. I just
Lately.
finished book club. We did our book club for the book we read. Didn't get rave reviews. Very annoying to read, but the stories are okay. But yeah. Anyways, thank you, RJ. My goat. Appreciate you. Next, we have KP trade idea from Nathan. Big fan of the pod. Keep up the good work. I am by far no trade expert, but someone who caught my eye during the regular season was the center for the Hornets, Moussa Diabate, a young center on a 2-year deal. Now, before you take a look at the trade, I do not think we should keep the 2 to 3 players we're getting in the trade. Trade for picks would be my preference. In order to make the money work, we get Josh Okogie, Ayo Dosunmu, and Moussa Diabate. The Hornets get KP. The Bulls get Josh Green or Grant Williams. It feels obvious that picks will need to be included, but honestly, any picks coming out of the Celtics can be gained back by trading Okogie and Dosunmu if we don't want them, or can be obtained through the Drew or Hauser trade, since that would be necessary to get below the second apron. For context, since JB will need surgery and JT will be out for the whole season most likely, I would prefer we run a younger team, given the guys we got more minutes. Get PP starting and re-sign Torrey Craig. Let Baylor, Nemi, JD, and Walsh get 10 to 15 minutes tonight. The positives to get to this is giving more confidence to our young guys and finding out what bench can look like when JT comes back. Thanks for taking time to read this, Nathan. And he sent us links from Fanspo and Spotrac. So the first one would be the Bulls giving up Ayo Dosunmu in a second to get Josh Green. The Hornets giving up Okogie, Moussa Diabate to get a second, and Kristaps, and the Celtics giving up Kristaps in a second to get back Okogie, Dosunmu, Diabate in a second. And then he just sent it, and it works in both. I don't think the Bulls would be too interested in giving up on Ayo Dosunmu. I like Ayo Dosunmu a lot, so if the Celtics could get him back in a deal, I wouldn't mind it. Maybe the Bulls are into it because they don't want to pay him, and so they'll trade him and say, okay, we'll get off this and avoid having to pay him, and maybe that onus would be on the Celtics. I think Dosunmu's a really good player, so I would be intrigued by getting him. I like Diabate too, but I also think the Hornets also like Diabate, so I don't know if they do that. I like this trade. I would ideally like to dump Okogie elsewhere. I think that would be the smart plan. I don't know where that somewhere else would be. Maybe it would be a dump to the Nets or something. Could you give him a second or two? The Bulls, I would probably take the second that the Hornets are getting and give it to the Bulls. Give them like 3 seconds and Josh Green, or maybe not. I don't know. I actually don't hate this deal. I don't know how realistic it is, just because I feel like the Bulls might just want to keep Ayo Dosunmu and the Hornets might not want to take a big swing like this. But I could also see the logic of, okay, the Bulls don't really want to pay Dosunmu. Let's take a look at Josh Green, get a couple seconds, and the Hornets are like, let's take a swing and see if this Porzingis thing works out, and then we'll clear up cap space. And maybe even the Bulls are like, let's I don't know. They could also get a first for Dosunmu, though. I don't know. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but if everything lined up, I wouldn't hate it. I think that's where I land.
Yeah, I struggle to think of including Chicago in trades because I really don't know what they're doing. So I don't know what they're looking for in any kind of deal. I think you've nailed it pretty well with this mock trade, because if they're trying to acquire younger talent to go forward with, Josh Green wouldn't be the worst guy. His contract isn't awful. He's somebody who could be a decent role player for you if you put the right pieces around him. Depending on how much they believe in Giddey, maybe they are into the idea of trying to compete in a terrible Eastern Conference next year. I don't know. They can talk themselves into it. As far as the Celtics return, I think Dosunmu is a very interesting piece, as does Jack. If you're thinking of trading Drew Holiday this summer too, you're going to have a little bit more opportunities for guards to make an impact with the Celtics. So I wouldn't mind having him be the guy that eats up some of these minutes. And even if you kept all 3 of these guys, you're still saving $13 million, which is more than halfway to your avoidance of the second apron. But you're going to have to bring in more guys over the summer, and Horford, Cornette, if you pay him, it's not going to exactly be $20 million, but it's a good step in the right direction, even if you can't offload the guys that are the filler guys. So I'd be intrigued. This would not be the worst Shams notification.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't hate it. I don't mind. Last email, one of my favorite highlights from RJ. It has nothing to do with the Celtics. Heck, it's not even basketball. Morning, folks. 4 years ago today, as I write this, May 28th, Hobby Baez did the most Hobby Baez thing. See the video if you liked Marcus Smart for his ability to create winning plays at a KS. You'll love this clip. I already know this clip. Do you know this clip?
I feel like I should know this clip, but I don't. So I'll be reminded or surprised.
Hopefully, we can keep this clip in. It is on the official MLB channel, so there is a chance that I might have to take it out. But if it's in here, hopefully you guys get to enjoy. I'm definitely going to take the sound off. Sam, you can enjoy the play is what it is.
Okay. Not just stepping on the bag is crazy.
Yeah, Javi Baez gets all the way to second base, and they score the run, and there were 2 outs.
This is regular
don't
season
know.
baseball at its finest.
The Pirates were embarrassing. It's still embarrassing to this day. Thank you, RJ. Funny clip. We appreciate you. Last Celtics thing before we wrap up and check out the NBA at the broader scale. Noah Dalzell of Celtics blog, friend of the show, wrote a couple of articles, which I'm not going to read them all, so you can go read them yourselves. One about Torrey Craig and his potential desire to come back to Boston, and one about Baylor Scheierman discussing how Tatum helped him through his rookie season. Torrey Craig said, I love everything about Boston. If it was available, I would see myself coming back. Just being around the guys that previously won the championship, seeing how they operate, that they were together, being a part of Celtics culture. That was a cool experience for me. And then Scheierman on Tatum said, the first day I stepped foot into the practice facility, he was there signing his new contract. And just from the jump, he was always there for me to talk to. I asked him about the summer league and what to expect, and he shared everything and gave me some advice on how I should go about it and whatnot. And that's just how he's been the whole year. So Torrey Craig might want to come back to Boston. Baylor Scheierman said Tatum was a huge mentor for him. Again, go read them both on Celtics blog. We can discuss briefly, but I'm not going to go over all the quotes because you should go read the articles.
What do you think of Torrey Craig coming back? Do you like it? Not like it?
I'm pretty indifferent. I mean, they're going to have to fill the roster spots anyway, so you might as well bring back a familiar face. But at the same time, like, maybe just go take a shot on someone. Like, listen, or if we want to go full circle here, right? This is the year that you go say, okay, maybe you get a Lonnie Walker type. This is the year you do that, not last year.
No way.
This is the year.
This is the
year
ultimate turn.
To be perfectly clear, not Lonnie Walker. But if you were going to look at a guy who is on his way out of the league, maybe we can find some value here. This is the season to do it. That is not Torrey Craig. You kind of know what he already is. But this is the year you bring in a 25, 26, 27-year-old who maybe could redefine his career, maybe have a little bit more value. I mean, I'll throw out some examples. I'll go to Spot Track, check out the free agents, and like I'll use some examples of who, a minimum guy might not get many other deals. Larry Nance, he's a little on the older side, 32, but like maybe we can find some extra value there, right? Some younger guys who could have more value. Like if the Knicks don't re-sign Precious Achiuwa, maybe he could have value. You need a big man. If he doesn't have a contract, sign him to a minimum. You've got guys around that age, like I think Davion Mitchell will probably stick with them, but like Zaire Williams with the Nets, he's 24. Could we find like any sort of value in him as a wing? Jake LaRavia, if he doesn't re-sign with them. Amir Coffey's 28. Maybe he doesn't re-sign. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are just avenues you can go out and say, okay, this guy's like 24 to 28 years old. Like, maybe he doesn't get re-signed. Maybe you want to pick him up. Like, Trendon Watford again. Like, is he still there? Thomas Bryant's still only 28. Like, can you find any value there? Like, Aaron Sharp, Talon Horton Tucker, like Bobo, like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is the year if you want to take a dart and throw it at one of these like 24 to 28 year olds. You're like, can we find an extra value, revive his career, a la like Ty Jerome in Cleveland? This is the year to do it. So I like Torrey Craig, but at the same time, maybe use that spot on like somebody else who could develop into a roster piece.
I think I like Torrey Craig coming back. I think he's been around the block a little bit. I think he is a good presence within the team. Like, for example, every time the dude was on the bench, he was just leading the charge, hyping everybody up, bench mob king. And as silly as that sounds,
Good
you
vibes.
don't really get that on your basketball reference. But I think it does something, especially like considering you've got two guys who they like one more than the other, but two still have potential, is Scheierman and Walsh, who are wings, much like Craig. Maybe he can be a little bit of a NBA vet mentor to those guys. Obviously, he's not like one of the game's greats, but Still been around the league for a while. He's been on some decent teams, played with some great players. He was here last year, and if he wants to be here, it's a pretty good thing.
Yeah, I like Torrey Craig. He was good vibes. Wholly dependent on what the rest of the roster looks like, because there's also the thing of like, do they get like 3 players back in one trade? Can they like actually feasibly bring him back with a contract? So a lot of things that go into it. I'm sure we'll have plenty of, what is it, like we've seen Noah Vonleh, Lonnie Walker training camp guys of oh my god, let's sign this guy. So we'll see what happens.
Noah Vonleh was on this team.
Yep. Who was it? It was him, Bruno Caboclo, Jake Layman. It was like that whole crew of like, what the fuck are we doing here, guys? So anyways, before we continue, I need to tell you guys about CLNS Media. If you're listening to this podcast, you're listening on the How About Them Celtics YouTube channel. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe right here. We're here every single day with new content, 5 a.m. in your inbox. Make sure to check it out. Turn the notification bell on so you never miss an upload. We just posted our first scouting report of the new season on Danny Wolf. So check that out. The video's up on the channel right now. We're going to do a ton of scouting reports on potential prospects the Celtics could take in this year's draft. Last year, we had one already up on Baylor Scheierman before he was drafted because we had already looked at him. I think he might have been the first guy we looked at.
He was the first. We were sharp.
Take a look. So maybe that means good things for Danny Wolf, although I think he's a bit out of their range. Regardless, leave a like, subscribe. Also, jump on over to the CLNS Media YouTube channel. There you can get the live streams of the Garden Report. You can get all the press conferences anytime a Celtics player, GM, coach speaks. You can get it there. Again, leave a like, subscribe, turn the notification bell on. And then if you want more podcasts, Celtics All Access, CLNS Media, go check out First to the Floor. You got Boston, the Garden Report, Dome Theory, A-List, all the great podcasts over there. Yeah, a ton of content. Again, leave a like, subscribe. Appreciate you very much. All right. Jumping over to the NBA section of the show, Sam. Pacers up 3-1 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Tyrese Halliburton, just a monster game, triple-double in Game 4. No turnovers. Huge showing from him. And the Pacers went up 3-1 on their home floor with a chance to close it out in New York at MSG today, as you're listening to this, I believe.
Pops is free. Mountain mover. John
Pops is
Halliburton.
free.
He got to see his son have maybe the best game of his career on so far the biggest stage of his career. So that was pretty awesome. Always awesome to see the Knicks lose. I enjoyed that very much. That was a pretty painful game if you're a Knicks fan, I think, because Indiana led most of the night. The Knicks kept it close. They kept it a game. They took a lead right before halftime and then ended up going into the half, I think, down 5. So they didn't close the half great. And then Indiana leads for the entire second half by 5 points or more the entire time, and it's 15 in the fourth quarter. And Pat McAfee is sitting courtside, and they give him the in-arena mic, and he just yells at all the Knicks celebrity fans that are there and like says, "Can't wait to get these guys out of here."
I thought that was before the game.
No. That was in the that was when they went up 15. We were on the playback, and I love playback because you get to see the in-arena what's going on in the Jumbotron feed. And McAfee was electric. He just was going off on all of them. And then as soon as McAfee laid into all these Knicks fans, they immediately responded with a quick 9-point swing where it was down to 6. It was starting to feel a lot like Game 3, where the Pacers were in control and the Knicks slowly chipped away. OG Anunoby was making really difficult shots. The Pacers' offense was stale all of a sudden. They weren't getting great looks, and when they did get good looks, they weren't making them. And then the Pacers kind of calmed everything down. They finished the game off. So the Knicks gave their fan base a fair dose of false hope in that game, and the Pacers did a really good job of closing the game out. Not nearly as painful of a loss as Game 1 was, but this is the type of series that is almost the inverse for Indiana as last season against Boston, where you can look back on it and be like, man, like, Pacers could have really lost this series, but they didn't. They showed up in the big spots through these first 3 games. Aside from Game 3, they probably could have swept this series. Game 5 will be a big one. Chance to kill them.
Yeah, man. Halliburton finished the game with 32, 12, 15, 4 steals, and no turnovers. That's unbelievable. Like, that is an insane performance. Siakam added 30 points of his own. He's been incredible this series. He was. I feel like if I memory serves correctly, he was relatively quiet last Eastern Conference Finals, and he is not quiet this year at all. Aaron Nesmith had another solid game, 16 points. Turner had 13 and 3 blocks. TJ McConnell's giving them good spurts. Mathurin finally showed up. He had 20 points off the bench. He shot 11 free throws. Give him that credit. Listen, if you start playing DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet, you're cooked. Yeah, you just know you're done. Like that's when you know that you're like, fuck, I'm desperately trying to find something that could possibly work. If they're getting more minutes than Precious Achiuwa and fucking Campaign, and it's not a good thing. You're not in a good spot if you're Tibbs. He's changed his starting lineup. He played Mitchell Robinson instead of Josh Hart. Robinson was a -20. Cat was the only player. Yeah.
What'd you say? The nerve of Mitchell Robinson to all of a sudden not be impactful.
I know.
What the fuck?
Well, it's hard, man.
Guy flipped the Celtics series on its head, and watching him be a shell of himself in game 4.
This is what we said before the series. Like, the whole thing with Mitchell Robinson is like he's going to dominate the half court, get offensive rebounds, bully ball. If you gas him out, like you're running 20 miles an hour every time you get the ball, it's going to be hard for him to have an impact. And the Pacers just like, how many offensive rebounds are there for him to get? Because the Pacers aren't a good defensive team either. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like the Pacers are beating the Knicks because they're holding him to 90 points and you're able to grit out all these possessions because Mitchell Robinson's there giving you extra possessions. The Knicks shot 46 from the field and 43 from 3. Like, they're having efficient offensive games. There's not a lot of room for Mitchell Robinson to quote unquote dominate the offensive glass. It's just the Pacers are running and gunning and beating their ass with threes and with turnovers and with all this stuff. And so he doesn't really have the opportunity to make the same impact. Karl-Anthony Towns was the only guy in the starting lineup with a positive plus-minus. He was a +3. He's been really good this series. I'll give him his credit. Cat's been awesome. It's just everything around him was kind of crumbling. Jalen Brunson was fine in game 3 and 4. No, he was fine in game 4, not great in game 3. He has been the cone of all cones on defense, and the Pacers have very much exposed it because they're going so fast that he's incapable of doing anything. And for what it's worth, he wasn't good defensively in the Celtics series either. That's just not why they lost. It's the Pacers are sick. They're just really cool. They're really fun to watch. They play such a uniquely different brand of basketball than anybody else in the NBA. I don't know how it's going to hold up against the Thunder because you're going to have both teams who love to play fast-paced offense to get to their offense. But then you have a Thunder offense that's not very good going up against a bad Pacers defense. And on the other side, you have the best defense in the league going up against what is probably the best offense in the NBA. So it's I saw a lot of people on Twitter, mostly Knicks fans, saying like, no one's watching this. I cannot wait to watch Thunder Pacers
that nobody's
finals.
Watching this crowd.
I know.
Because it's always the salty fans of the teams that didn't make it.
Michaela showed me a tweet where like taking the T home, and it was like, is this really how people feel? And it was like, no, ain't no one watching the Pacers Thunder finals. And I said, click on the profile, and the header was just a Brunson. I was like, yeah, and she was like, oh.
Well, like just the retort to that is, oh, really? Like everybody wants to watch the two guys that like the whole billing on them is to dive into guys and get free throws. Especially Brunson, like the shit he does is really like
Brunson's so much worse than SGA, so much worse.
Like Shea is doing stuff, but it's just different types.
I've said it. This is how I've described it. Shea is diving into contact that is already there because of how physically he is guarded. Brunson is seeking out contact that would not otherwise exist if he didn't play like an asshole. That is the difference.
So, yeah, I will be tuning in. I'll be seated for the NBA Finals, and I'll be rooting for the Pacers.
Pacers.
Hoping that they can get there and finish the job here, because if they don't, I'll be devastated. The hate watch will have been a failure.
Listen, I'm not like going to even be upset if the Thunder win. Like, I don't care if the Thunder win. Like, the Thunder have done nothing wrong. Like, I don't, like, they're a good team. They're just really cool. I think I have no beef against anybody on the Thunder. I just think it would be cool for the Pacers to win. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I will go into this finals with no risk of being upset. Yes, I would like the Pacers to win because I think it's a little bit boring if the Thunder win just because they've been so good. But it's not like it's this dynasty that's won a billion times. Like, this is going to be the first championship in OKC history, which is also cool. Like, good. That's a cool thing for those fans and that team. So, yes, I'm going to be rooting for the Pacers because it would also be their first championship in franchise history, and no one expected it. But I'll be happy knowing that I won't mind the outcome no matter what. And I mean, this conference finals, I know you don't feel the same, but at least for me, like I haven't been like pressed about who would win, because there's no like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no, this is boring like again or like this like duh. It just there's angles for me to be excited about no matter what, and I'm very excited about in the OKC finals if it does come to fruition.
Yeah, I think it'll be exciting. I think there is like a little bit of like the man. It feels like Indy's like charging to the finals only to just meet the windshield or whichever like metaphorical
They're like Dallas
thing.
last year.
Yeah, like they're just going into the woodshed. But like you can't sit here and talk yourself into like, well, if the Knicks got there, it'd be different. Like no, like both of these teams are kind of competing to be the sacrificial lamb to the Thunder.
I will
at least
say,
the way it feels.
That is how it feels. And I just compared them to the Mavericks last year, right? For context, last year's Mavericks went 6 games with the Clippers, 6 games with the Thunders, then 5 games just to lose in 5. This Pacers team has lost 3 games the entire playoffs.
Sounds like
they have
this
exactly like this Pacers team has been as dominant as the Celtics were last year, almost as dominant as the Celtics were last year. Like that is an insane thing to consider. I don't know, man. I also think the Thunder have lost more games. How many games have the Thunder lost? 1, 2, 3, 4 already.
Yes,
they lost 4 games, right? I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's impossible for the Pacers to win. I think it's going to be their toughest series by far. Shit, it'd be fun, man. Imagine Halliburton getting a ring. Nuts. So
I would like it. I'm rooting for it, obviously. We're talking as if the Thunder have already advanced, and as of Thursday morning, they might have. We're recording this at 2:30 in the afternoon Eastern time, so Game 5 of the Western Finals has not happened yet. But they're going home up 3-1 against the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves were in Game 4. They had a chance to win. They just really couldn't get any stops in the fourth quarter of that game, so it made it really difficult for them to do so. And it's not impossible that they force a Game 6, but it's hard to imagine them beating the Thunder 3 times in a row, considering the Thunder are a generationally good or historically good team. Like all of the regular season numbers point to it. They've dominated all season. They've beat the brakes off of all these teams. They competed with Denver in the playoffs. Denver pushed them to the brink, but Minnesota, it feels like they don't really have the secondary creation. Julius Randle has not been the player that he was in the first couple rounds to where he's helping. He's been terrible, which is how I've always felt. But he played well in the first couple series and really helped them get through those series in only 5 games apiece.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for the finals. I think the Timberwolves are dead. I just don't think they get a chance. Thunder are too good right now, and we'll see what happens. Okay, rat list.
Rat list. It is time.
Go ahead.
Rat list is the bridge traffic in Rhode Island. It has been a while since I have tried to go over the Washington Bridge, which connects the western part of this state to the eastern part of this state. I went over it yesterday in rush hour, and I can't believe that people have to commute through this every single day. Like, this traffic is so bad that it spills over onto 95 north, which is where the merge and south. This is a colossal problem that could have been prevented, and it's ruining people's lives who have to commute to work every day. It's like going across the bridge, not going across it, they're still having to deal with it. It sucks. And I was driving on the highway yesterday, and I noticed, you know how sometimes when governments are doing construction projects, they have the estimated completion date on signs? There's one that is not related to this near my neck of the woods. And it's just spring of 2023, supposed to be done. Still going. Still going. Still going strong. Still have lanes closed on this route that I drive on. Get it together.
Yikes. What do I want to rat list? That's a good question. Okay, so I was getting lunch today. And we were picking up sandwiches from this place called Al's in Boston, and it is like notoriously like insanely good. Like people are obsessed with this place. It's always packed. It's only open during workday hours, so it is only open for like lunch during weekdays, something like that. Like it's open. It's one of those places. It's like 3 locations in Boston, only open very select hours, but everyone fucks with it. It's like in the hubs of workplace. It is where people always go for lunch. So I go in. We get there a little bit like just as the lunch is starting. So we're like, okay, we avoided most of it. There's a line for hot subs, line for cold subs, because it's like cold subs, they put it in front of you, like, and then hot subs, they like make it in the back, whatever. Michaela gets in the line for cold subs. I get in the line for hot subs. And I texted my roommates, I'm like, hey, do y'all want anything? And 2 of them said no. Brian was like, yes, I want this. And I was like, okay, bet. And then he's apparently describing it in the chat, like, yes, it's so good. Like, I love it. I love it. And as I'm in line, I already order. I walk out. We get our subs. We leave. I get a text. Ryan goes, damn, you sold me. Is it too late? I go, it's too late, man. He goes, shit. And then I'm like, fuck. And so I turn around and I go back in. But by the time I go back in, it is like 12:30. So it is like the lunch rush is here. So I am now in there in a crowd of people, stressed out. They don't give me my ticket. I'm waiting there. Everyone's like going in and out. I'm like getting claustrophobic. It was a disaster. It went from like my okay, I handled that. That was fine, to my social nightmare of like, holy fuck, there's too many fucking people. Get me out. So ratless Ryan, but I got him a sub, and I walked out of there afterwards. I looked at Michaela. I go, I'm never going there again. She goes, you haven't even tried the sub yet. I go, I don't care how good it is. I tried my sub. My sub was good. Her sub, I will be going back. It was that good. She got a chicken salad sub with like tomato, lettuce, onions, whatever. Unfucking believable. I will be going back. They got me.
Man, sometimes the places are so far, you have to deal with like all of the constraints that go with trying to eat there. Like, as soon as you said like it's only open weekdays during lunch hours, you know the place is fire. Otherwise, it wouldn't be open.
Exactly. And guess what? I can go whatever fucking time I want because I don't have a real job.
Yeah,
I can just go. So I'll just write a bunch of shit in the morning, then go out. So that'll be good.
That's how in Texas, I guess. So I went to Austin last month, and there's a couple like famous barbecue places that are only open from like, I think it was like 10 to 2, and people are just in line around the block from like 6 a.m. I was like, who's doing that? Who's going to stand in line? Like, I didn't care about it enough, but one of my friends really wanted to try it. I don't know if he ended up going, but I was just like, what the fuck, man? Like, that is the biggest flex ever. Just being able to have people wait around the block for your restaurant to open for its short window of being open. What a flex.
Ratless the Red Sox. I just watched Jaron Duran drop a fly ball. What the fuck are we doing?
They're winning.
You fucking idiots. They're not going to be winning in a few minutes because they just should have just had the second out. But now there's runners on first and third because Jaron Duran dropped a fly ball. What are we doing?
So if you want to ratless the Red Sox, this has been a problem forever. But I can't watch the Red Sox because I don't have NESN on YouTube TV and it's not on Hulu. So you have to pay for the NESN Plus thing, whatever they have, and it's outrageous. It's $30 a month just to watch the Red Sox, and if you want to watch it, you either have to do that or stream it illegally, which is probably what you're doing, or you have
I have
NESN. Flexing?
Oh. Well, I have NESN, so we watch in the living room on the TV, like my roommates and I. So we're just like, all right, let's buy NESN.
Yeah, it's probably worth it if you're like splitting it with a bunch of people, I suppose. But it sucks. I would like to follow. Baseball would be a great way to get through the summer.
Yeah, it works. No, I mean it's good. The Red Sox are the problem with the Red Sox is they're not bad enough for me to completely tune out and just say whatever, I'll watch something else. But they're not good enough to me for me to be all in to the point where like, oh, I'll just tune in October. They're just bad enough where there is intrigue in their day to day because they're the fucking Hawks to where they're never going to be too far above 500, but they're never going to be too far below. So there's always going to be a chance. So it's just. You can't even throw them out at second. They're useless. I can't.
I got to shout out the Pot on Lansdowne crew. Just three of the most elite Twitter guys ever. Liam Fennessy, Jake Wallinger, and Fitzimo Pena. And they run the Pot account, and they have the meme of the woman telling the Red Sox it's time to go back to 500, and it hits every single time. It's you see it like twice a week because they just hang around 500. Right, they are 3 below. They're 27 and 30 as we're recording.
Oh my God,
they may be
slipping.
28 and 30. Yeah. So Seeing the meme's going to be a good thing next time it pops up. Means they've won 3 more games than they have lost.
They better win today. They're up 3-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Like, you can't, like, come on, man. But now there's runners on second and third because they couldn't throw him out at second when he stole.
Rat
Oh,
list
double,
is,
you fuckers. Okay, go ahead.
Poor Jack going through it, watching the Sox. Rat list is, it's almost time, Jack. It is May 28th. There is about a month and a half till college football 26 hits the shelves. College football 25 had a vice grip on the two of us last summer. It was one of the most fun things to do with no NBA basketball on to watch. A great time passer. And I'm already thinking about the Dynasty mode.
I'll be back.
My friends
I will not play Dynasty mode. I'll play offline myself.
Yeah. I don't expect you to join it. I understand. Me and my friends have reignited the Dynasty that died in January when I decided I wanted to focus on the Celtics and really just not have to worry about playing games. The Celtics are no more. It's time. I'm getting the itch. I'm going to be back.
You're back.
We're getting Henry in. Henry is elected to join.
Is Henry good?
Henry is like competent enough where he's not losing every time, but he's not like
I see.
really good. He's in the middle of the pack, I would say.
He's a lot better than I am now. Yeah, I'm not. I don't got it like that. I can't do it.
In my prime, I was a demon.
I can't do it. I'm not built for it. I don't think I have anything else. I'm chilling. I'm good. That's all I got. Want to wrap it there?
I'm good. Yeah, we can wrap it there. Good show today.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for tuning in. Leave a like, subscribe. Go ahead, Sam.
Thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you think is going to happen in the trades. I'm sure you have plenty of thoughts. We're here every single day with new stuff. Full pods like this one drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps when the season's on or up the morning after each game. And other videos, draft prospect previews, trade videos, whatever it's going to be, we'll be here. We'll keep your Celtics cravings curbed, as we say. We'll also be doing streams on the channel too, so keep your eyes out for those. Hit the bell. We're here on Spotify and Apple. Every single pod, every single game recap is up there, so if you just want the audio versions, go ahead, follow. They will go right into your feed. Leave a 5-star review and tell your friends. We'd appreciate that very, very much. You saw it today. You can email us. hbtcpod@gmail.com. Big shout out to you. You guys have been awesome since the offseason has started. The emails have been coming in strong. hbtcpod@gmail.com is the address once again. Our socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Facebook's the name of the podcast. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's Jack's1NBA. Mine's at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us. Bye.
Taco, come on.
Taco's having some fun here.
That is bogus. These guys are ridiculous.